Hello and welcome back to My Mom's Basement. It is a special Loki recap edition of My Mom's Basement. I am back with Clem, and we have a mind-bending episode to break down today. Clem, how are you feeling after Michael Waldron fucking took the brain out of your head, stomped on it, made it a little mushy, and threw it back in there with episode 4?
That son of a bitch put it in a blender too, Bob. He hit it on puree and it throws it back in. I mean, you can't really tell the difference before or after, but the brain is not doing well right now. I said last week, business is about to pick up. Business has picked up. Business is up. Business is booming. Business through the roof. And it starts with the title. You click, you go to your Disney Plus, you're scrolling, and you see the Nexus event. And I'm like, oh, fuck. What are we about to be doing here? And just an absolute – people were asking for emergency My Mom's Basement. I'm like, guys, it's like one day is all we have to do. But this
They were asking for it at like 4 in the morning. They were like, now.
This is putting the like – we're at the ultimate test right now of like the no spoilers, like when are spoilers allowed? Like – I think the new rule is going to have to be if you don't watch it by Wednesday night, like I think Thursday should be the embargo should be over, because if they released it on ABC at 9:00 at night, we could all at 10:00 be like, all right, let's talk about it. It's preposterous that we have to wait through Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday to just like make like a vague meme or put a screen cap or something like that. So we're going to have to like appeal to either Waldron, King Feige himself.
I follow Waldron on Instagram. I think his Instagram handle, funny enough, ironically, is fake Michael Waldron, but that is his real, that's his Instagram handle.
It's good.
And he posted a story today of Mobius with like, I will remember you. And as we're recording this, it's Thursday. So he waited one day and was like, we fucking pruned Mobius off our show, motherfuckers. Although, you know, they did sort of reveal spoilers that maybe pruning isn't actually killing people. So we'll get into all of that later. This was the ultimate 3-chi episode for me because I stayed up for it and I was really struggling to stay up for it. Like I had been moving furniture earlier in the day, like getting the new apartment ready. So I was a little tired. I was like nodding out. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to take the 3-chi pen out. I'm going to smoke a little 3-chi. I'm going to start thinking about the theories, and that'll keep me awake. And you know what? It did. By the end of episode 4, though, I was like, all right, now my brain's fried, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to get it back. I was like Hunter B20 or C20 or whatever when they were like, yep, the enchantment scrambled the brain. We don't know if we're ever going to get like that was for real with me. Now, if you want to get yourself some 3-chi that won't scramble your brain, that'll make you feel just like a nice buzz. Go to 3chi.com right now. You'll use the promo code MMB. This stuff is the best Delta 8 THC on the market. They've got the vapes, the gummies, the tinctures, the oils, the brownies, the cookies, the cereal treats, everything you could imagine. They've even got a vape strain called the Incredible Hulk. So if you're listening to this show, why not go for that one? That's the one I order every time. I do the Incredible Hulk and the Pineapple Express because I like the Hulk and I like Pineapple Express, the movie. I'm a very simple man. I have very simple pleasures. That pleasure is 3-chi. You got to be 21 or older to purchase this. It will give you a nice buzz, takes away a little paranoia and anxiety from regular weed. Don't operate heavy machinery on 3-chi. Don't drive on 3-chi. It'll give you a buzz, like I said. But if you are 21 or older, if you're looking to indulge a little bit, 3-chi is the best on the market, the best that you could get in the entire multiverse. Again, my promo code is MMB at 3chi.com. And get yourself some.
We have a lot of universes, multiverses, and this stuff isn't ending anytime soon. This is kind of the kickoff to all this stuff. Like we, you know, I think WandaVision, we got like at most a taste, like a little droplet on the tongue. This is like we've now put one foot into the multiverse world, and we're doing Doctor Strange. Without spoilers, there was some Spider-Man stuff that, you know, got leaked online today with toys and stuff like that. So there is a lot of things. So get your 3-chi ready because that's going to be the fucking rocket ship that takes us into these multiverses.
It's like an Endgame when they go to space for the first time. Rocket's like, "Ooh, he has been to space," and then they all like raise their hand. They haven't been to space or whatever, and then they show Steve's eye opening. That's going to be all of the Marvel fans, like our eyes, just like, "Oh my God, we're not ready for this." And we'll talk about Loki, the episode now. I know everyone's eager, but when we get into questions, I'll also talk a little bit about Black Widow because I was lucky enough to go to the press screening of Black Widow in New York City, so I've actually seen it. And spoiler alert, I liked it. I liked it a lot. So I won't spoil anything, obviously. I will wait for everyone to see it themselves. But me and Clem will talk about it. I guess if you have any questions for me, I can answer them, and we'll get into it. But for now, let's get into Loki episode 4, because this was the most talked about episode of the series thus far. We knew that some shit was up when Marvel Studios tweeted like, meet the Timekeepers tomorrow on Loki with that character poster. It's like, uh-oh, they set the stage for this one.
That was fucked up. Like, and I like when they play with us and whatever, but I didn't have that coming to me. I'm trying to keep the brain in order, trying to figure out what's going to happen next, and then they're just throwing it right in our face. They're smacking us in the face with the posters right there. So, but we met them, and how we got there and back and everywhere in between was quite a ride.
Oh my God. So we kick off with the Marvel intro. We go right into Asgard, beautiful Asgard, and you see a young girl Loki. You could assume this is Sylvie. This is Lady Loki right off the jump. Gets arrested by the TVA. Ravonna is one of the officers. This is when she's a little younger, it seems. And one thing to note, when she did get arrested, the little girl was playing with dolls and toys, and the scenario she was saying was like, and the dragon swoops into Asgard, but then the knights come in and they save Asgard. So some people were saying already, we don't know why she was arrested from this episode. Was she arrested because she had a good heart? And Lokis are not supposed to, inherently they're supposed to be like, let's destroy Asgard. But maybe Sylvie had a good heart. She's brought into the TVA. We see all of the same people that we saw when Loki was brought in episode 1. The same person guarding that, are you a robot metal detector? The same person saying, can you verify everything you've ever said? So obviously time does move differently in wherever they're located. If this is the Quantum City or something, I don't know. But they didn't seem to age at all, the variants that are employed at the TVA. And then Lady Loki is taken before a judge. She escapes. She grabs the temp pad, and we get the Loki intro. Actually, they cut to like modern Ravonna at this point, and she walks before the Timekeepers, and then we get the Loki intro. So it's really like, all right, we're going to show you the Timekeepers this episode. And you get the first taste of what their little lair throne room looks like. What a beautifully designed environment. Whoever was responsible for the lighting, the blue smoke, the way that looked was awesome. Very unique.
Big time Zool vibes I got from that, straight out of Ghostbusters. And I mean, hey, we're going to have to talk to Waldron again and see if that was another one of his nostalgic throwbacks. Yeah. I got that. And all I could think of, like, that must be terrible for the infrastructure of this building, just to have a room that just has, mist, and it's probably getting into like the concrete and stuff like that. And Sienna was watching with me, and I never knew she knew this as like a phrase. She goes, that was a big opening. And I'm like, opening? You know how to use opening like that? Like, yeah, that is a big opening, girl. Hero Loki. That was kind of the big thing. I thought that was cool. She's like, Valkyrie is slaying the dragon, and they had like the wolf that was like Hello's wolf, which I guess there's a bunch of different, that's a Asgardian thing. I love when we go to Asgard, no matter what, whenever you just see like the kingdom or whatever and just the layout, I always love it. Even new Asgard, when Thick Thor was in Endgame, like I just love even that vibe, which is a completely different look than it. So I feel like I'm an Asgardian at heart, even though I say it really weird, Asgardian.
Well, you know what? I feel like I didn't know what I had until it was gone. Like,
yeah.
You know what? Thor 1, I wasn't the biggest fan of. Thor 2, I know a lot of people don't like, but I do. And Thor 3, I was like, man, this is awesome. I love Asgard. I'm finally in Asgard. Oh, it's gone. But as they've said, Asgard's not a place, it's a people. And that's the whole thing of that. So that we can be Asgardians.
That's just what they're saying to make you feel bad that it's gone. Like, it's like, oh, he's always going to live in your heart.
Shits on you. It's like, it's good luck,
I love how Kid Loki did the old bite and run, which is such like a kid move.
Yeah.
And the other thing was, I saw this. Someone tweeted it out or something. The guy who is being like held captive by the guards, he has the mustache. He ends up being one of the guys who's watching the timeline when Sylvie kind of like nukes it all. It's the same dude. Like, he has the mustache. He looks like he's about the same age. So it's like he was a variant that like got arrested. They might have just done some sort of brainwashing on him and turned him into that. So that was one of those little Easter eggs that I think might come back, full circle. And this might be one of those shows you rewatch after it's all over. You throw some 3C in and you get there. Oh boy, we don't know what's coming up next.
Already people are talking about like, we have to go back now and see everything that was ever pruned in the show, just so we know like what is left in that environment. But we get the Loki intro. We now cut to Ravonna and Mobius talking about the Timekeepers and how they blame her. She's under a lot of pressure. She's feeling a lot of stress. Mobius says, let me talk to C20. I want to see what the enchantment showed her. And Ravona's like, listen, C20's dead. We didn't want to say this, but the enchantment completely scrambled her brain and she's gone. So already things are sus. You're like, the fucking girl that Loki scrambled. Oh my God, this whole thing. We go back to Lamentis 1 at this point, and Sylvie says that her being born the goddess of mischief was not supposed to happen. It created a diversion from the sacred timeline. This conversation confused me a little bit. Maybe it was just my 3 a.m. brain, but I have rewatched it. I'm confused as to whether or not Sylvie was born on the sacred timeline. It sounds like she was. And then just the fact that she was born was not supposed to happen. So that was why she got arrested somehow. But in that case, who are her parents? How did they give birth to a Lady Loki? How did they give birth to a different version of the same being on the sacred timeline?
This is where we either A, have to talk to Michael Waldron, or B, just order a lot of 3 cheat and just go in a room and write it all down and see where we end up, because those are the questions I have.
On a different timeline, was she not? Maybe we'll get that clarified later in the series. Maybe it's left ambiguous for a reason, but that's certainly something that if you think about it too hard, it's going to make your brain hurt.
Yeah, it's like, are you half elf? Is every Loki half? Oh no, obviously not, because at the end we see that there are certain creatures that are most certainly not half elves. Yeah. This whole thing, like, I need at the end, unless in the next 2 episodes they can, put a nice bow on it and wrap it up and give it to me.
Which they may explain that, because Loki's going to need it explained to him a little bit, right? Like, so there can be the avenue for exposition there.
Agreed. And what a line you could say too, where you go, everywhere I go, I created a Nexus event. Like, what a fucking brag. Like, all right, Sylvie, tough guy over here. All right, I get it. You're fucking special. You created a Nexus event. But is it because it's that pure heart, or maybe a worthy Loki, right? So it's like, if there's a worthy Loki, and then is this Loki being one of those, we kind of see how he gets redeemed in the end. Maybe the Loki is just supposed to be a dickhead. And it's like, oh, you're not a complete dickhead. Variant his ass.
Too good a heart. So she has lived in these apocalypses, we could assume, since she was a child, pretty much. They're watching the timelines back at the TVA. B-15 is getting antsy. This is our first clue that maybe something happened to her when she was enchanted. We go back to Lamentis, and she says, are we all always supposed to lose? Is that what makes a Loki a Loki? We're all losers. And Loki says, no, we're all survivors, which is a great way to put it. Like, that being the thing that links all Lokis is perfect after they've killed him off 100 times at the MCU. And nothing has made me more grateful that they brought Loki back at any point than this show. I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. Thank God we still have Tom Hiddleston in the MCU.
As a Mets fan, I feel like Loki's a Mets fan. You're like the Mets fan, are we destined to lose? No, we're destined to survive. We're fucking survivors. We don't die. We survive. We come back next season, next movie, whatever it may be. You can't kill us. You can kill us by by the coroner's report, but we come back, and that's all that matters. We're cockroaches. We're like Loki. Loki in a Mets hat. That's what I need. That guy is a fucking Mets fan through and through.
Photoshop it right now for Clem. You got to give him that Mets Photoshop.
And maybe that's why, because the entire time I'm thinking, why are these goddamn assholes just sitting out in this asteroid storm, or whatever you want to call it? Like, they're just plopping down, but they're Lokis. They don't die, they multiply, kind of a thing. So I actually got to shout that out. And I'm not like a big time art or the CGI or the cinematography. The asteroid or the planet coming out, it was such a fucking awesome scene. It was so beautiful, awesome. Yeah.
So a Nexus event is created big time in this moment on the apocalyptic planet and everything, because there's some romantic tension between Loki and Loki. What we talked about last week, is it incest? Is it masturbation? We don't know, but it's there. It exists. And we see this string from the timeline that's going off like basically straight up, and they're like, holy fuck, that's not someone stepping on a leaf. That's something we've never seen before. It allows them to realize they're on Lamentis 1. The TVA agents come through, they arrest them, they bring them back into the Time Variance Authority, and Mobius immediately calls Loki an asshole and a bad friend, which that's got to sting when it's coming from Mobius. Such a pure-hearted guy.
God of assholes and kind of bad friends. That's what Loki is now. He's not the god of mischief. He's the god of assholes and kind of bad friends. By the way, like you said, that Nexus, like whatever the meter going straight up, is that basically just saying Loki was getting a boner for himself and it became a Nexus event? Or was it like Sylvie getting a lady boner? Maybe a little bit of both. And they're like,
I think a little bit of both. I think they were both feeling it.
Yeah, and last week, like we said, is it incest if two Lokis have sex with each other? Is it masturbation? Is it just good old-fashioned rando sex? And someone said it's a sexist event. I think that's what it is. I think it's a legitimate sexist event. That's what's going on. You're fucking yourself.
That's fantastic.
It's a sexist event. And I mean, the meters were going crazy. It was crazier than all the little things that were splitting as Lady Loki was basically like destroying all these different places with her time charges. Sexist events going off. I couldn't believe it.
So Loki tells Owen Wilson Mobius the TVA is lying to you. And then he gets thrown into a bad memory torture chamber with Lady Sif. What a cameo we didn't expect. Another cameo that reminded me almost WandaVision-esque of like the Randall Parks or Darcy Lewis, like these characters from the past that we never expected would come back that aren't necessarily like, oh my God, it's fucking Luke Skywalker, you know, like we said. But just a pleasant surprise and one that makes you smile. And of course, the scene is very funny. She just kept coming through saying he's going to be alone forever, kicking him in the balls, punching him in the face. Put that on loop. I'll laugh every time.
And not a bad payday, right? Just get to kind of rehearse the same lines. Like she earned that. I know everyone.
Yeah, really.
She wasn't in Ragnarok, which I guess everyone was really pissed off about. And it's like they kind of made it up to you, like Marvel always does. Like people get mad at Marvel. It's gonna come back full circle. I guess you have to like let them know. Put it in the suggestion box for Kevin Feige. He'll take the suggestion. He'll be like, all right, we'll get that in like 3 years. It's something in a media you don't even recognize we're going to be doing in 3 years. Because I don't think any of us saw Disney Plus, you know, years ago, back when like Thor 2 was out or something like that. When I saw Loki get thrown in the red door, I'm like, oh boy, he's in trouble now. That wasn't good. Like bad memory prison. There's not a lot of things worse than I can think of than like getting tossed into like one of your top 5 worst memories.
Oh my God. Imagine just getting tossed into like Dave reaming me out, like on radio or something, just over and over and over again. And it's like, God damn, I just got to sit here and take it. That would be horrendous. And I think at some point, maybe it's before this, maybe it's after this, but I forgot to write it in my notes. So I want to bring it up now. Mobius mentions vampires. Speaking of things that they're teasing for the future, Blade is on the docket. So I don't know if vampires have been like mentioned before, not, but like confirmation. Yep, they exist in the MCU, and we're gonna need a bad motherfucker to take care of them.
No line is just a throwaway line. I'm sure he had to get that cleared by the big dog up top. Unless the big dog was like, hey, just throw the V word in that script somewhere there, Mr. Waldron, and we'll go from there. It's kind of like with the Atlantis stuff with Wakanda, right? It's like the earthquakes and stuff like that. So, yep, I agree with that. And they kind of meant like Titans, which I think Eternals is going to have a little bit of all that in there. So keep giving us those breadcrumbs. I'm going to keep eating them up. I love this fucking show.
I don't know if I mentioned it, by the way, last time, but I did purchase Jack Kirby's like original collection for Eternals. So I want to dig into that before the movie. I'm going to learn. I'm going to dig in a little bit. So I'm excited about that. At this point, Mobius goes into Ravona's office. He requests to talk to Sylvie. He's like, let me talk to both Lokis, see what I could get while this Loki's in the fucking bad memory chamber. She refuses. She says, I don't want what happened to C20 to happen to you. It's too dangerous. I know you would normally interrogate them, but she's being very sus about it. I'm not going to let you in a room with this lady. And B-15, outside of this meeting, goes up to Mobius and says, what, did Loki say anything to you? Did he tell you anything? Mobius is like, yeah, he said, TV is lying to all of us. I don't know, some fucking cockroach thing to survive. Mobius then goes in. He gets Loki to interrogate him for real. He tells Loki that Sylvie was pruned. He's messing with Loki at this point. Loki doesn't know that. And this allows Mobius to realize Loki fell for himself on Lamentus 1. And he calls him an incredible seismic narcissist. That's got to sting. Even if you're Loki and you are that narcissist, just getting that pointed out's got to sting. And then he reveals, all right, she's alive. You know, we didn't really prune her, but you're fucking crazy for falling for yourself. He's like, this is the thing that can collapse worlds. It's collapsing my reality right now.
Back to the Future, we have like Michael J. Fox and his mom like kissing and she doesn't feel right. Like that's the kind of vibes I'm getting from all this. So yeah, that and I went on the Direct podcast, the MCU Direct, and one of the hosts,
Liam. I met him this week at the Black Widow.
Liam,
premiere.
He's a titan like Thanos. He's 8 feet tall. He dwarfed you. And listen, like not just what people know about Robbie Fox. Like Robbie Fox may not have a lot of like girth on him, a lot of meat on his bones. You're a tall lad though. You are.
I am. I'm 6 foot. Yeah, I'm 6 foot. Liam made me look like I was 5'9".
Hey, we do not 5'9" shame on this. I don't want to get any enemies at the company, in terms of the 5'9". But he said, Matt said, Silky as a couple name. I think that's a good name, right?
That is good.
It's either Lovi or Silky, and I think Silky works. That's our benefit of the MCU. So I thought Silky was a nice thing, and it was kind of cool to see this version of Loki, who, mind you, this isn't Loki that had his redemption arc and saved Thor and, you know, had his thing, or, you know, Ragnarok. He just was trying to like basically enslave New York City. And a couple episodes later, here we are, he's catching feelings. And, you know, I think when you're told enough times you're going to be by yourself for the rest of your life in this fucking time cell that he was in, to kind of see him like have the person thinks he lost her and now gets her back. It was kind of a cool moment, I think, all around.
At the same time, even if he marries her and lives a happily ever after with her, wouldn't that technically be him being alone for the rest of his life?
Oh, Bob. Also, I love Owen Wilson who goes, I ought to box your ears. I mean, what an awful thing to threaten someone. Boxing ears is a bad one. That's like, in terms of like the different levels of bad, that's not too bad. That's like tier 5 or so. Tier 3 is like
soap in the mouth. Is that a bad one?
Oh yeah, soap in the mouth is an awful one. I was thinking more of a wet willy, when someone just throws a wet willy in your ear. And then number one, like the fish hooks, all those kind of things, all those things that are. And my friends and I got into a really bad. We were in Jamaica for spring break, and we were tabletopping each other. So, you know, when the one person crouches behind you, you push them. And it got to the point where you'd like be talking on the beach with your friend and you just be kicking your legs behind you the entire time just so that they didn't tabletop you. So boxing your ears is actually not that bad of a thing. But then you get the hot ears for the rest of the day. Just an awful thing to even threaten this poor Loki. Like, maybe Mobius is the god of mischief. Maybe he's somewhere in that little Loki land bouncing around.
He's a variant himself. At this point, though, Loki does tell Mobius, you are a variant. You existed at some point before the TVA. They took you from the sacred timeline and are basically imprisoning you here. You're a slave to them. And he's like, yeah, good try. And Loki's like, of all the liars here, you're the biggest. And he says, why? Because I told you your girlfriend was killed. And he's like, no, because of the lies you tell yourself. And at this point, I'm like, this is a fucking rap battle. Every line, I'm like, oh. It was fucking great writing all around. And Hunter B-15 then goes into Sylvie's cell. She takes her back to the Alabama apocalypse, and she has her run an enchantment on her so she could see that this is for real. She also existed outside. I guess she gets to see again that she was happy before the TVA, she said. Pretty intense scene, and one that made me feel pretty bad for putting Hunter B-15 on that sus list early on.
Yep, this one came back full circle and bit us in the ass, bit me in the ass. Bob sometimes takes some credit with it too. Like, take
some credit because I agreed heavily with it. I was like, yeah, she was, you know, against our guy Mobius, but yeah, she was under mind control the whole time, basically.
And how do you like she has to like trust a Loki? There's a category 8 hurricane going on around her, but at the same point, like, I guess there's something deep in your soul that you remember whatever the fuck is going on. So I don't know how I could ever trust a Loki, but I do feel really bad. She had such like a tough guy act about her, but it seems like all these TVA agents do, and none of them have any idea what's going on. And I thought, I'm happy they didn't do it, but I would have loved like the Owen Wilson, wow, when he said, you know, the variant thing was going on and he is a variant himself.
Wow. So Mobius goes up, he has a drink with Ravonna, and he keeps saying, why can't I interrogate Sylvie? She says, again, you know, I don't want to allow you to be enchanted, whatever. And she just keeps trying to ask him this question, where would you want to go? If you could go anywhere on the whole timeline, where would you want to go? He's avoiding answering it. He's asking about C20. He's asking about Sylvie. And Ravonna says, listen, this is a big case. Let's have a drink. Let's chill out. The Timekeepers also, finally, you get to meet them. You can come up and, like, this is the case. He's like, about time. He then distracts her a little bit and steals her TemPad. Mobius getting so sus that he's like, all right, I got to take matters into my own hands, investigate a little bit. He goes into the library and he sees C20's debrief video, which features Ravonna looking more guilty than anyone's ever looked, by the way. On the TemPad, like the view of Ravonna we got, she was like...
Yes. What about Foxface? Yes, and I have to save that one.
But that's how she looked, and we get to see in the video. She's like, "I was a variant. I was happy. Like, oh my god!" And this is the thing that confirms for Mobius that Loki's been telling the truth all along. He is also a variant. He goes into Loki's cell again, and he's like, "Listen, dude, is this for real? You swear to me that Sylvie did not put that memory in her mind. And he's like, nope, she can't put memories in. She could only take what's already there. And he's like, all right, come with me. Let's go.
We're a team now. We went from like rivals throwing people in bad memory cells to like buddy cop, right on a dime.
Loki mentions like, how about the word of a friend? And he gives that to him. And it's like, all right, we're back. We're a team, but not for long. Because as soon as we get out of the cell, Ravona's there waiting for him with a bunch of TVA agents. She's like, you got something for me? And he's like, oh yeah, I forgot. I swapped them.
Classic goof.
You know how they look similar. She's not buying it at all. So he just kind of lets it sit a beat. And he goes, you know where I would go? If I could go anywhere in the world, if I could go anywhere,
yes.
I would go and get on my jet ski. He's like, I want to go back to wherever I'm from. He says, maybe I had a jet ski. He actually mentions it. He says, maybe I would be able to ride my jet ski. And right away, Ravonna, cold-blooded, says, prune him. She has seen enough. I guess he's really seen too much in her eyes, and he gets pruned. Right away, Mobius is gone. And this was a shocking moment in the series. I was like, no, my guy. At this point, we think that's actually killing them. Spoilers. It's not. And Ravonna has both Lokis brought up to the Timekeepers at this point. Very much, and I got so many people writing in and saying this, but how could they not Return of the Jedi vibes when they were in that elevator?
Big time. And this one goes out to my boy Mobius. It's been a long day without you, my friend.
And I'll tell you all about it when I see you again.
Pruning Owen Wilson should be illegal. That like the feelings I had in my stomach as I saw him just disappear is and that like weird, like they say the Neo like Matrix scream. I just like it's guttural. It's just wrong on so many levels. I just hope he's right now riding a jet ski out somewhere wherever he is. But the little time devices they have or whatever, I get big Super Nintendo vibes. And I know that predates Robbie Fox a little bit. Like that graphics, like the 16-bit.
Totally. And it's almost like it was like the orange against like the dull, like gray, black. Like it wasn't a high quality retina display by any means.
And yeah, so whatever world we're living in where time and like Loki's magic doesn't work, they got to get basically, it's crazy to say it this day and age, but like basically our kind of people, like the people that make the Barstool app. Like the Barstool app's awesome. I can't believe we reached the point where we actually make shit that doesn't break. Like our website just didn't work for like days at a time back in like, half a decade ago. And here we are now. We're better than the people in whoever controlling time, whatever the hell's going on. And Ravonna, I mean, just the coldest bitch in the goddamn world. Let's call it what it is, right?
Coldest bitch in the world. I mean, in the elevator, when Sylvie says to her, the one piece of back and forth they have in the elevator is Sylvie's like, what was my Nexus event? She says, do you remember me when I was a kid? Ravonna says, of course. She says, what was my Nexus event? Why did you take me from my kingdom as a child? And Ravonna says, I don't remember.
That was cool. And I think that's bullshit. Do you think that's bullshit? I think she knows.
I think it's bullshit, yeah.
I think it's a big reason, too. I think we're going to find out, and it's very Loki-centric, obviously. Going back to the question she asked Mobius, and then he responded later to, if you could go anywhere on the timeline, where would you go, Bob Fox?
I mean, any year, any whatever?
Mm-hmm.
It's a great question. I would probably go to, like, see Oasis at Nebworth in the 90s. To be honest, I probably wouldn't go. I mean, people are going to be like, how could you not go see like who really killed JFK or something? But I would probably like go to see Queen at Live Aid or something. Like, like I would go to an iconic concert with it.
I have no problem with that. Like, part of me like wants to do dinosaurs and just see what was going on back then.
We're talking
prehistoric time. I'm also, and this is a tough question to throw at you without any 3 chi going through your body, all that kind of stuff.
No, it's always going through my body. I'm like the Hulk. I'm always angry.
I lived through the 90s. I kind of just want to go back and be like, well, the 90s is awesome. I remember because I fucking love the 90s. Part of me just wants to go there. And then I was always the 70s and the 50s. I'd love to see like the innocence of the 50s and like everyone was post-war and the baby boom, all that stuff. And then the 70s, just the free love, man, all the stuff that was going on. So
Woodstock, imagine that. That'd be cool.
I don't think there's really a wrong answer to it. I think there's basically unlimited right answers. So that'll be the question of the week. Let us know
in the comments.
You go on the timeline. Let us know in the comments. Go back to 2003, see pre-Barstool Dave Portnoy, see him getting everything started, flying around the country trying to get
a little
his
5-year-old Bob. I'd be like the little lady Loki girl from the beginning of the episode. Like, where are you taking me? Am I going to Barstool now? Like, oh, here we go.
He's just playing with his Batman figurines. He has no
Yeah.
idea the stuff that the man he's about to become.
Exactly. So they actually go up to the Timekeepers. Like we said, this very cool environment, the blue smoke, there's platforms everywhere, and we see the three Timekeepers sitting on these thrones. Almost looks like they're floating or something. And all three of them have like this crazy look. They almost don't look like they did. Like one of them had that big beard mustache thing. One of them had a skinnier neck. They don't look like they did in the Miss Minute cartoon or whatever. And they call the Lokis a cosmic disappointment. Ravonna is imprisoning both Lokis with the collars at this point, and they try to like step up and attack them. She brings them both back with the rewind button, and then the elevator door dings open, and who is it but Hunter B-15 to the rescue? She releases the Lokis from their collars. A big fight scene takes place. A lot of people also compared this to, I know you don't love the Last Jedi comparisons, but it was Last Jedi throne room vibes in a very good way, in a very like, fuck yeah, like we were happy to see both Lokis go back to back, team up against these bastards. It did not take them long to dismantle the TVA agents. They made quick work of them. And then the Timekeeper, when they're kind of cornered, they realize they don't have anyone blocking them. And one in the middle goes, "You're a child of the Timekeepers too, Sylvie. We can talk." She goes, "Oh yeah?" Picks up this big ass sword, this big dagger, fucking throws it at him and beheads him. Again, kind of Snoke vibes. You know, they slice that ugly motherfucker in half. They chop this guy's head off. The head sparks, starts rolling. Other Timekeepers start laughing, and they almost do this like back and forth thing that looks like when the Chuck E. Cheese animatronics like power down. And they do power down. They closed captioning even said it, powering down. And you go, oh, fuck. Those Timekeepers weren't real. And then I went, oh, well, that's why the CGI looked a little strange while they were talking. Like, while they were talking, I was like, man, that CGI is cheap. They look like robots. And then a robot head falls, and they're like, it's a robot. And I was like, oh, fuck, Kevin Feige fucking got one over on me again.
My notes was the Timekeepers kind of stink. I'm like, what the fuck is going on with this nonsense? And I mean, the guy kind of like the Red Skull Vormir voice at first, but then it just became almost like the Disney Hall of Presidents. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? We have the three Wizards of Oz telling me what the fuck, you know, all this stuff about the time traveling. I'm like, go suck my dick, you fucking time. Like, you guys are the guys I was scared of. I'm just more scared of Miss Minute sus than you guys. So yeah, they I have to give them credit. Like, they did pull the okey doke on us. You know, if you should be scared or respect someone in the Marvel universe, you will learn to respect or be scared of them. Those guys were a bunch of clown shoes. But again, I have no idea what's going on now that we have a robotic head, basically, was the grand reveal of that entire sequence.
It looked crazy too, right? With like the rubbery skin and the robotic head. Like it was a weird, creepy looking head.
And they were laughing at him too, which was the weirdest thing. So it's like, you guys understand what's going on. And it was, you know, it was almost like the two old guys from the Muppets. You know how they always are laughing at like whatever's going on and they're complaining? Like they're just laughing at one of their dudes just getting his head chopped off. So I did let out a little laugh at all that, I have to say.
Loki says immediately, the line he lets out is, then who created the TVA? And that's where I think the series is going to go. I think you and I both have an answer. We'll get into that. We'll save it for questions. But Loki then briefly tries to kind of romantically talk to Sylvie. He's like, so I'm not used to this, but back on Lamentus 1, you and me kind of, you know, writes on a note, like, do you like me? Circle yes, circle no. And he grabs her. And as soon as he does, he kind of does the Miles Morales, actually, like the, hey. He gets pruned by Ravonna. Another shocking moment. I also wanted to shout out what a unique visual the pruning is. We've seen people fade away. We've seen people get like burst open, and there's only so many ways you can like kill characters. Pruning is a very cool like electrical current fade away thing. And Sylvie disarms her immediately, and Ravonna's like, fucking kill me, do it. And she says, no, you're gonna tell me everything. Credits. Another cliffhanger. We're 4 for 4 on cliffhangers with Loki. But there was something about this one that made me go, oh, I don't think that's it. It was the first episode where I was like, I better really, really make sure. And I like whipped up my Xbox controller, scrolled to the post-credit scene, and of course, we got one. This was kind of a parallel to when he's caught in the Avengers. When he wakes up and he's like, where am I? Whatever. He looks up, and instead of seeing the Avengers, he sees 4 Lokis staring back at him. Richard E. Grant as Old Man Loki, a child Loki, a black Loki holding what looks like a version of Mjolnir, which maybe he's like Odin liked him better than Thor in that timeline, that universe or something. And bizarrely enough, a fucking alligator Loki or a crocodile Loki. I don't want to offend the alligator or crocodile communities. I don't know the difference. It was one or the other. It was stunning. I think that's maybe a reference to the fact that in the comics, there's like a frog Thor. So like there's a frog Thor, alligator Loki. It's like, but oh my God, where are we going with the rest of this series? Who knows? And also in the background, you see like a destroyed Avengers Stark Tower. People are saying, is this a universe where Loki won? Is this a universe where the nuke hit New York? Where are we? Does this mean Mobius is now in this universe? Is he in different universe? What's going on?
So I've been told the difference between reptiles and amphibians. I've been told the difference between alligators and crocodiles more times than I can count, and I always instantly forget it. So I'm with you on that. However, I'm calling that a crocodile Loki for one reason and one reason only. Because Lokedile kind of makes sense. Like I can't really do an alligator with the word Loki, but Lokedile, I think that works. So it's a crocodile. And
also shout out to Steve Irwin, like Crikey.
There we go. All right, I can get down with that. I'm trying to figure. Bob, we have each other's backs here. We're variants, so I'll defend you to the death. When Loki got tased or whatever and disappeared, I had it all. I couldn't tweet it out obviously, but I wanted to do R.I.P. my dog Loki's. And what happens when Loki dies? It means he's gonna steal the Tesseract. They broke it down. I saw someone break it down on Twitter. It was like Loki dies in Thor, then in Avengers he steals the Tesseract. Then he dies in Thor 2, then he steals the Tesseract, and just every single time he dies and steals the Tesseract. So if Loki has to somehow like steal the Tesseract, even though I guess he technically doesn't die, so we'll have to figure that out. The New York City thing is interesting, and this is just like a straight guess on my part, which I think all we can really do at this point is I feel like Loki's destiny is to be in New York for that, invasion, whatever it may be. And in this scenario, he wins or, comes closer to winning than losing. And because that's what New York would look like after Thanos' fucking army just ravaged it, right? So that was my 2 cents on what that could mean. I am very interested in the Mjolnir Thor more than anything, or the Mjolnir Loki more than anything, just because it's like, worthy. That's a worthiness thing. And I don't know if that changes across multiverses and stuff like that, but like Loki is the furthest thing from someone who should be able to pick up that hammer, right?
And I love the Richard E. Grant Loki in the original Loki costume, which reminds you of like the WandaVision when they went back for the Halloween episode. Is Phase 4, they're just going to give us all the silly looking outfits in the coolest fucking fashions?
Yeah. Oh God. It's kind of like, we've had it with WandaVision. We had it with Wanda and Vision, and then I guess Quicksilver had it as well. So
Quicken and Speed a little bit, you could say, the kids.
Yeah, so I love when we get the little throwbacks there, and especially like the old school Loki. That's a look and a half right there. So, which one's your favorite? What's your favorite look out of all the Lokis we've had so far?
Is the old school. I'm a sucker for those like bright, flashy spandex colors, the over-the-top long horns. Like, I love that. That was awesome.
I'm praying to God that the vote Loki stuff is going to be just a world of Lokis, and they're like voting for the president, and we just get more costumes. I'm sure there's plenty of Loki costumes out there. There might even be like a Thor Loki costume, right? Like that would be a sweet thing, right? So
maybe we'll see our guy Bobby Carnivale Loki in that world. Hey, what the fuck is this? An alligator Loki.
Give us more to hand. God damn it.
You want to get into the sus list?
Let's get into the sus list. And this is the sus list. Everything's the sus list right now, Bob. Everything's the sus list. Because what is the one person we're trusting right now more than anybody? Loki Lofison and variant Lokis. 2 of them. So we trust the Lokis more than we trust anyone else on the show, which is in itself. Like remember episode 1, we're like, listen, Loki, I know you're going to try to trick me, but we're not falling for right now. And here we are, episode 4, only a month later, and we're like, well, Loki's the only person we can trust. The dumbest thing you could do is to trust Loki, but we have to. So that makes us sus, him sus. Everyone in this whole goddamn world is sus. The TVA is sus. Miss Minute's sus. Mobius.
If you're watching this video, you're probably sus right now.
Yeah,
And hey, if you're watching this video and you're sus, like the video.
right
Yeah,
there.
go like it.
Below.
Like it.
And if you don't, you're on the sus list next week. You're on the sus list next
That's
week.
right. The only way to get off the sus list is to like the video.
So
Now we're holding people hostage with the sus list.
Honestly, I like who. All right, so this week only, because everything's upside down. Who's not on the sus list? Like, can we say Mobius is not on the sus list because he seems innocent?
Yeah, because he was pretty stunned when he found out he was a variant.
Okay,
Mobius B15, but
B15.
It's so tough. You can't you can't say all the variants be in the TVA because like Ravonna, what was she? Was she a variant at some point? Like she obviously cares way more about the TVA than anyone else. So
that's my
she's
question.
The most sus.
Did Ravonna get that promotion because she was kind of like a TVA agent? She gets kind of like a corner office and a nice little trophy case, all that stuff. Did she get into dirty shit? Is she riding Kang's dick? I don't know what's going on, but there's a lot of different questions right now. So I mean, clearly sus list. I mean, she has like that look about her. She's mean as she's like really just mean. Don't really dig her.
Cold.
Yeah, cold as a motherfucker. So sus list is everyone. What's the guy who had the Infinity Stones in his desk? Casey's on the list too, because Casey has not been seen for a couple of days now, a couple of episodes.
Also, people were saying, did his desk get proned in that one episode? Like someone throws like the desk in front, and then like someone tries to like prone Loki throws the desk in front of him as someone's trying to prone him or something. Some people were saying maybe the desk with the stones got pruned to wherever Loki now is.
Oh boy, we got Loki and a fucking desk of Infinity Stones going on.
Who knows? Let's get into the questions because we got a couple of them this week. The first of which is from Jake Patterson, and this is the first and foremost one that we have to answer up front. He says, "Who do you think is really running the TVA if the Timekeepers are just robots?" And listen, I think we're in agreement on this podcast. It's got to be Kang.
Kang! It's Kang! It's Kang!
Kang the Conqueror. We're all in on it. Listen, he's got the romantic connection to Ravonna. His character is entirely based in time travel technology. He's like a brilliant, mechanic or engineer, whatever. He could have engineered those robots. He could have engineered the whole place. I think it's a complete Kang the Conqueror thing. And maybe even people were saying, is he somehow going to be the product of like two Lokis? Did he need them to get together for him to be born? But they already did it, but they don't realize it because it's a whole fucking time travel thing. And who knows?
And again, let's go back to episode 1 where Bob and Clem are like, listen, don't trust Loki. And like, all right, and we're not going to believe that some big time character is just going to come out of nowhere. And now we're like,
we've completely Mephisto'd ourselves. Kang is the Mephisto of Loki without a doubt.
God damn it! There's gonna be like another series. That should be the first. What if? What if Mephisto and Kang actually showed up in the shows you idiots thought they were showing up in? So, yeah.
What did we think was going to show up in Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Omega Red.
Yeah, exactly. God damn it! God damn! I love this shit. I do.
This is the best. This is honestly the best. If we got Bad Batch later, this is the best time to be a nerd right now.
It is. And then this is the thing is at the end of every episode, we get those Loki, it's like the credit scene. And that is basically the WandaVision, like on steroids now. Cause I'm like, now you guys are really fucking with my brain. And I really feel like there's some big things that are about to happen here. So it's just
WandaVision, at least not every episode was like the craziest cliffhanger. Like there were some episodes that just kind of ended like normal sitcoms or whatever. Yeah. This one, every single episode has been a must-watch cliffhanger. It's crazy. The next question comes from our friend Cameron Ramos. He says, do you think that when someone gets pruned, they go into a world with all of their other variants? Or do you think everyone is mixed in together? So is Loki in a world of all Lokis and just Lokis? Or is Loki in the same world with Mobius and different versions of Mobius maybe? And is it like fucking Australia back in the day when they threw everyone on the island and they were like, that's prison?
That's a good question. Shout out to Cam.
I think they're probably in the same world. I feel like Loki and Mobius are going to meet up and team up in this world, and then Sylvie's going to be in the real world, and they're going to have to like come out of it with her help somehow.
Okay, I'm going to go the opposite. I'm going to say it's basically like there's a Loki world, there's a Mobius world, all that kind of stuff. Now the question is, do these guys, is there multiple Mobius's variants that have gone into the TVA because they're just destined to get off the sacred timeline for whatever reason? I'm going to say yes. And I had a shout out D Vivolo 6. he had tweeted us that picture of all the Owen. He's like, "Is this where Owen Wilson is?" And it was a picture of different Owen Wilson characters, like the one from Wedding Crashers. There was Lightning McQueen. I'm gonna even throw Hansel from Zoolander, but I don't think he was on there. Like, how awesome would that be if you just had different like? All right, what actor would you want to see just like his entire little world just filled with characters from that actor? Like an Owen Wilson one, that's incredible. You have the guy.
I got an immediate name that came to mind.
Let's hear it.
Gary Oldman. I want to see Commissioner Gordon chasing down Drexel.
That's a good one. I like that one.
Johnny Depp is a good one, right? Because Johnny Depp's played with so many characters. You got Jack Sparrow, Edward Scissorhands, his shitty Willy Wonka, but kind of a version in there. Maybe Edward Scissorhands could fucking kill him.
Denzel Washington, where everyone always says it's the same role, would just be the same guy 100 different times. This
Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury, Mace Windu.
Oh, imagine Obi-Wan and then the guy from Taken just fucking showing down against each other. Wow, there's a lot of different ways we can go with this one. Tom Hanks. That would be the most delightful variant world ever, right? Just Tom Hanks' variant world. I could just hang out with Forrest Gump for the rest of my days. Oh,
and if you get tired of Forrest Gump, go hang out with Mr. Rogers. Like, okay. And if you get tired of him, go hang out with Captain Phillips or Sully Sullenberger.
That's basically the one take. And the one Tom Hanks really ever played a villain before? Like even Hanratty, who's like the bad guy, is like a good cop in the movie. He's just chasing a cool bad guy and catching.
He's not like as wholesome as he usually is in That Thing You Do, I guess. He's still supportive.
Yeah, he's an agent.
He sort of takes advantage. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not a bad guy. You wouldn't say he's like an antagonist.
That's a hell
he's
of
just too likable. And hey, shout out to Tom. We got birthdays coming up. Me and Tom Hanks, July 9th.
Really? That's your birthday guy?
Yeah.
Is that number one on the list?
Yeah. OJ Simpson's the other one, which sucks.
Ooh, yeah. I got Biggie. Me, Biggie, Mr. T.
That's a great one.
So we got
Mr. T. I was obsessed with Mr. T back in the day. When I was little, that was my first ever gamer tag on Xbox. It was I Pity the Fool 43.
Like we've gone through all these Marvel recaps, all this craziness, this entire episode recapping just for that moment where you admitted that your first username was I Pity the Fool.
I used to watch his self-help show where he would like go to teens that were like, it was basically the Mr. T version of Scared Straight on A&E, and I loved it. I was like, yeah, he's fixing people's lives. I pity the fool who don't work on themselves.
Tell me you have like a picture of you wearing like fake gold necklaces, just like chains upon chains, looking like.
I don't think I do, but like I have probably pictures of me with like my Mr. T bobblehead, maybe, or like I used to like draw pictures of Mr. T and stuff. Like I loved Rocky 3, loved all that.
Mr. T is one of those people, all the variants of him, if he had come around in 2021, 1983, and everywhere in between, past and forward, always is a hit. Always is an absolute smash hit. A++++.
I want them to bring Mr. T back in the Creed series. You did Ivan Drago's kid. Why don't you do Clubber Lang's kid?
To this day, I'm just like, what happened to Clubber Lang after he lost to Rocky? Because I mean, the guy was clearly was a champion, would have been number one contender at some point, like unless he just like got really down on himself or something went wrong personally. But like, there's no reason that guy shouldn't have just been like just bouncing back. It's a rematch. Like you get a rematch against the champ, it would be a fucking split at that point. And you have like the amount of money for part 3 of Lang versus Balboa is a fucking smash pay-per-view smash hit. But we just
do it now. Let's do Rocky 7. Let's do like in their old age. Listen, you got to put the dots on their face. Do the Michael Douglas and Ant-Man thing. Let's do it.
Yep. Okay. I think we're giving that one away for free. That one hurt. That was a good one. But I'm sure Sly Stallone. He's been thinking of that. Sly's always thinking.
We've got one from Mike Sullivan. He says, could you guys see Loki sacrificing himself for Sylvie and her being the main Loki in the MCU moving forward? Maybe even a name switch to Enchantress as her way of respecting our Loki, not using his name. I hadn't thought about this, but yeah, maybe. I mean, it's no secret that Black Widow was very much the MCU's way of introducing Natasha's sister and stuff. And we know that as far as Endgame goes, Natasha may not be in the MCU anymore. I mean, she'll probably come back for Secret Wars down the line. But as of right now, Scarlett Johansson's like, yeah, Black Widow was like the swan song prequel to kind of give that character her own movie and leave it alone. So with that in mind, I was like, maybe they're doing the baton pass to all of the new generations of characters. So I now that you brought that up, Mike, I could see that happening.
That's a good theory. I dig that because like in the Marvel, you're never dead, especially if you're dead. That makes you the least dead person out there. And it does do enough where it's not like you're just seeing like, come on, man. I've seen Loki die on screen so many times. So you're changing it from, we love Hiddleston. He's an awesome actor. But if you're keeping that Loki around, you're keeping the Asgard connection and everything else, and then whatever you're doing with the future Thor stuff. So if they do that, like, do I think it'll happen? I have no idea. I would be cool if it happened because those people have to be around. I'm sure there's just a way the stories have to tie together. You need to have those critical parts because, again, in the comic books, those guys come back sooner or later, some way, somehow, or they just change the timelines altogether. So with this multiverse and all the other shit to be going on, I feel like we might be getting a bunch of that stuff coming up. So gets a good call.
And what a great send-off it would be to, give him his own show. It's named after him. He's the star of it, and he's also the protagonist. He's kind of an anti-hero where he's saving the day. He gets a second chance at life, and Loki is now not the one losing in the end. Hopefully he takes down the fucking TVA, and Loki's the one winning this thing.
Oh, if he did like that line, he's like, oh, actually, I guess it wasn't him. It wasn't the TVA who was saying to him. He's like, I'm not going to die alone, or I will do the right thing. Like, again, those like pained faces watching Rene Russo die and watching himself die in Endgame, like they did that for a reason. I feel like that's setting us up for his big moment, and it would be the perfect send off to Hiddleston. So yeah, I kind of want that to happen now.
And the final question from Connor Jennings, he says, do you guys think this show will end up containing itself by the end? Since the Timekeepers are fake, I feel like some of the gravitas of the TVA has been diminished, and I wonder if you agree. I don't necessarily agree with that, because I think now that the Timekeepers are fake, it's just a matter of, like, who's the bigger guy? Who's over their head? Who's someone is controlling it all. So I don't think the gravitas is taken away. As far as the show containing itself by the end, I would say yes and no. I would say a lot of the character arcs are going to be wrapped up, but the overall picture of the universe that was affected in this, I think is going to bleed into Doctor Strange, is going to bleed into No Way Home. I think this is the, like you said at the beginning of the episode, the start of the multiverse right here in Loki.
Yeah, we're not going back to like a normal world or universe for a very long time in the MCU. I think, when you're just on a plane and like your head is stuffed, your ears are off, and you're just like stuck up there. You're just like, you just don't feel normal. You're not going to feel normal. I mean, even after you land, check into the hotel, you got to like basically nap that like flight off. That's going to be like the next 6 months of the MCU. We're up in the air right now. There's a lot of crazy shit going on, and this is kind of part of it. The only thing I can't figure out is I think there is, like you said, someone controlling it all. It's going to be Kang. Yeah, it has to be Kang.
Gotta be Kang.
The two things that are bothering me is one, the Tesseract, and the Infinity Stones in general not working, and Loki's magic not working. I don't understand how none of that stuff works there, but I'm sure there will be something to put it all together. But again, nothing's going to make sense, and you just kind of have to just be like, it's kind of like when you're up in the air. You're just like, well, this isn't the normal world we're living in right now, so this is just kind of where we are. So, I don't know how it's going to all play. Oh, man, my brain's starting to melt as I just try to figure it out on the fly.
I know. It's like I'm so eager for the episodes every Wednesday, but it's also probably good to give my brain like 6 days to decompress. It feels like when fighters get like the 6-month medical suspension after a fight. They're like, you shouldn't take any blows to the head in 6 months. Like, give me 6 days, no more blows to the head from Waldron.
The best thing to happen this entire series is that they moved it to Wednesday, so we had to record on Thursday. Because if we watched this Friday morning and then we had the whole weekend to go down, we'd basically be speaking in another language by the time we're done with this. We'd be speaking Asgardian.
Absolutely. So for everyone, schedule-wise going forward, this is dropping on July 2nd. We've got the penultimate episode dropping on July 9th next week. That's also Friday with the Clancy brothers. I'll be in Las Vegas for that one. I'm going to Las Vegas for the McGregor fight. So the week after that, July 16th, that will be the finale. Now, in between, Monday, July 11th, we will do a Black Widow recap podcast. Black Widow, it was, I thought, a really fun installment to the MCU. I wouldn't say it was a top tier installment by any means. You're not going to leave this going, that was one of the best movies in the MCU. But if you dig the MCU like we do, where it's like, we'll take everything we can get, you are going to love Black Widow. It's just a blast. Start to finish. Action's amazing. I said to Clem, it was like a Marvel movie mixed with a Jason Bourne Mission Impossible movie mixed with like a G.I. Joe movie. There's even some Terminator, like basically T2 Terminator vibes in there. And it really felt like Natasha Black Widow was worthy of her own solo movie, which is something that I wasn't necessarily concerned about going in, but I felt like other people maybe were because they were discounting this one, being like, I'm not super excited for Black Widow. We'll get to that when we get to it. It's a movie I feel like you should be excited for. Like Hopper as Red Guardian was hysterical. He's definitely going to be a new fan favorite. And Florence Pugh as Yelena, her sister, is definitely also going to be a fan favorite. There's an amazing post-credit scene that's going to excite everybody about the future of the MCU. And I honestly just, I don't really have many bad things to say about it. Also, something to look out for, it has, take the Guardians out of the picture, one of my favorite opening title sequences to any Marvel movie. The opening title sequence is awesome, like really, really cool. A lot of the fight scenes are awesome. A lot of the hand-to-hand combat's cool. I thought Taskmaster had a cool costume, cool story arc. So yeah, I was a big fan of Black Widow. Enjoyed it a lot.
And you said like it obviously has like the Bourne, Mission Impossible, G.I. Joe stuff, but it does feel like an MCU movie, right? It's
no
not
doubt.
Just like a complete, disconnect from it. And then I had asked you, I got Sienna, it was like, I want to go see Black Widow. And you said it's not too gory. And I think if you watch some of the other Marvel movies, and I mean, she's 6.5, but she's used to this stuff. So I'm not that worried.
I really think Sienna's going to be fine. Like, if you have kids, if you're wondering if you could take the kids to it, definitely no more violent or scary than your average Marvel movie. It's right on that baseline. Everyone's in it is good. The score's great. The CGI is pretty cool. The big action sequences are awesome. There's a lot of references to Avengers stuff, which is awesome because this takes place in between Civil War and Infinity War, and like a lot of stuff is referenced with the other Avengers and stuff in that. So I really think if you like the MCU, if you've been waiting for an MCU movie for a while, this will scratch your itch at least until the huge movies come out later in the year.
So this makes me feel even better now because I think I've said it on the podcast before. For some reason, I keep thinking this is like an origin story. So I keep thinking it's like a real throwback.
That's one of the best parts of it. Like you get the origin story for maybe 10 minutes of the movie, and then you're already on to, okay, this is Natasha right after Civil War. The Natasha that we know. And people were saying, where would you rank it in terms of like your MCU rankings? I don't have the whole 20 whatever movie rankings off the top of my head. Probably put it somewhere in the middle. I would compare it in enjoyment value to Ant-Man, Doctor Strange. I would probably say I liked it even a little more than Captain Marvel. So like that's what to expect going in, at least if you agree with my opinions a lot of the time.
I mean, that's all you can really ask for. And just getting to the goddamn movie theater, I bought tickets. Shout out to my good people at Costco here. The little free plug, $12 for 4 movie tickets to AMC theaters.
That was a Mama Fox staple. She would always buy those for us, and they were the best.
So I'm kind of excited just to take Sienna out to the movies and actually watch it on the big screen. Would I have done that if it was free on Disney Plus? Maybe not, but I was going to have to pay the extra like $30 or whatever it's going to be. I might as well go out to the theater. It sucks too because they just ended that unlimited popcorn deal, which I guess anytime you get a large popcorn, it's unlimited anyway. But I love that AMC did that as a way to get us Americans back to the movie theater. So sounds like a good popcorn movie for lack of a better term, right?
Totally. And it's on Disney Plus for $30. So if you're like, you know what, I'd like to see it, but I don't want to buy myself a $20 movie ticket and someone else a $20 movie ticket and get concessions and everything, get it on Disney Plus, spend the night at home. You'll have a good time with it.
And this was something we kind of threw around, like, just on Twitter. But I do think we could one day maybe do a Barstool at the movies. I think we were talking about this one, but I just think there's so much it's so quickly and it's the summer and no one's doing anything. But if we did something for like a big time Marvel release, maybe like Spider-Man. I would love
that. Whatever the next one is. I think the next one's Eternals or Shang-Chi's the next one. I would love to do it for even that. It'd be fun. They confirmed that Kevin Feige confirmed this week that in the trailer that is Abomination and Wong. Everyone was like, we could tell it's Abomination, but it was the back of a sorcerer, and he was like, oh no, that was fucking Wong. So it's like, all right, this is gonna be awesome. Who else? Who knows who else is in that tournament? Omega Red? Mephisto?
Kang? Kang's running it. Kang runs the goddamn tournament.
All right. We will talk to you guys next week. Don't forget, let us know in the comments below where you would want to go on the timeline. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and like this video.
Like this video, and for everyone that made it to the end, tweet us #free Loki. Where we had the Free Britney movement.
Yeah.
We're moving on. That one took a little bit of a hiccup when it mid-turn I didn't see coming, is that the judge was going to straight up throw it out. So we're going to work on the guy who's in the middle of some fucking variant island that he's on right now. #free Loki. The God of
Free
mischief.
Loki.